Hey there, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Clean Food Dirty Girl podcast. Today, I have another guest with us. I have Lindsay, and Lindsay has been in our Drop It Club since we started in January. That's right, Lindsay?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk with her today, or I'm going to talk with her today, and y'all are going to listen and get really inspired, and maybe even have some aha moments. So I'm super excited to talk to you, Lindsay. Thank you for being on the podcast
Well,
and for chatting with me today.
thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, you've got it. So, Lindsay, what made you sign up for Drop It when you saw we were doing it?
I was so excited when I got the email from you because it was before the holidays. And I had actually been working with a nutritionist very unsuccessfully because I've been plant-based or, vegan for years now. And I've struggled with my weight. And so I saved all this money and I invested in this nutritionist and I was not losing weight.
Mm.
And there were all these rules, but there was nothing to back them up. And it was, eat 5 times a day, eat every so many hours, eat until your hunger cues are only a 7 out of 10. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. So when I got your email, I thought this is great because I was looking for somebody that was vegan and where I can have
Mhm.
support in a group of people that ate plants. And I just feel like it came up at the perfect time for me. And so I thought this is great. I can go into the new year and start something fresh with a group of people who eat the way that I eat and who know how to do this in a healthy way.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I mean, this is such a niche thing. Well, first of all, I'm super happy that you joined us because I've loved having you in this
Yeah.
community and hearing your stories and your updates and all of this. And I think you're right. I mean, this is such a niche thing because this isn't just, I mean, anybody can join, whether you're plant based or not, like anybody can join, but it is a plant powered approach. So it's not going to be for everybody if eating plants isn't your jam.
Right.
But if you do eat plants and you've struggled with your weight, like this is so niche that I think it's a really good thing because you're not having to like compromise how you want to eat or educate somebody who's trying to help you along the way.
Right. And I really believe in these plant-based principles. And so
Right.
having someone tell me, oh, go, you must eat a couple of, treats every week. And I thought,
Mhm.
I can't eat a couple of treats because
Mhm.
my mind is like, oh, you had a little treat. You need to eat 100 treats now.
Yeah.
And, so it was nothing that I was doing was really like in alignment with who I am.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And I think when people are looking to make this kind of change, it's so important that it feels right to you and that it
Yeah.
feels like a good fit. I've talked to some people who are considering joining and they're like, well, I'm talking to a nutritionist and I'm not quite sure. I'm like, go with whatever feels right in your gut. Like, I'm a big believer in like just that intuition and being in, just having it feel really
Hmm.
good.
Right.
So I want to talk about sort of your when you went into this, did you have a certain I think you had a certain goal in mind by a certain time and a certain vacation that's coming up quick, right?
Yes. Yes. So
Okay,
my
do tell.
daughter's graduating. She's the youngest of 7 kids.
Wow, you have 7 kids.
So, well, 4 of them I've inherited through marriage, but they're very much like my own. And so my daughter is graduating and she wanted to go on a spring break trip without any siblings, just mom, dad.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I thought, I'm just going to go into this and see how it goes. And so very early on, I started losing weight and I thought, like, I'm going to lose 25 pounds by the time we go to the Caribbean.
Okay.
And I'm at 23.3 now, probably more, but I only get on the scale once a month.
Okay.
Um, but I've had continued success and I've never seen the number go up. It's just consistently gone down. And I thought, wow, like I'm actually going on vacation 25 pounds lighter and I don't have to worry about what I put in the suitcase because it's all going to fit when I get there.
Yeah, hell yeah. And
Yeah,
your vacation is coming up. So right now we're recording this, it's April 8th, and I think your vacation is April 15th.
it is.
Is
Yep.
that right?
Yep.
Okay, so you're definitely gonna like reach that goal
Yeah.
for
Oh, I'm
sure.
I'm ready. And we're going away in the summer and I have a goal to have another 20 pounds off by the time we go away in July.
Okay. So it's funny because you talk about this and it's just sort of like, oh, the weight's just been going down. Like it sounds a little bit easy. Now I know that it's not totally easy,
Right.
but I want to talk about sort of your past attempts to lose weight, like kind of that stuff, and then sort of how this has been different.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've tried everything. I've always struggled with my weight. My mom took me to Weight Watchers, I think for the first time in elementary or middle school. So there was always so much shame that I held on to with this weight. I
Mhm.
always felt like, oh, nothing fits. Like everybody's judging me. My mother is taking me here now. And I remember it was either I didn't eat enough and I was like being forced to check off all these boxes in a little booklet, or I was starving because I was trying to eat enough, but make it so healthy that I could drop the weight. And so I'd see fluctuations up and down. And then fast forward into adulthood, right? It was a problem that followed me through my whole life. And the weight would go up, the weight would go down. I'd get really into exercise. And then I got a divorce and I didn't have time to exercise so much. So it was these patterns through life, but nothing that ever stuck.
Mhm. Mhm. I've talked to so many people whose mothers took them to Weight Watchers at a very young age. Like, and I'm still always so surprised to hear that because I think that that shit is scarring. It has to be scarring. I
I have
mean,
so
I
much
think that
shame.
moms do the best that they can.
Right.
Like, right? They do.
Yep.
But to hear that, like you are not the first person I've heard that from. And it's the same pattern. It's like there was so much shame around it and it
Yeah.
stayed with them well and into adulthood and also, it's the same pattern of like losing some and then gaining some and losing some and gaining some.
Mhm.
Um so when you okay, so that was kind of like nothing you tried a lot of things, but nothing
Mhm.
has ever really worked because it sounded like it was a lot of diets.
All the time. It
Yeah.
was just, make all these changes. There's a whole list of rules, right? And
Mm.
that's what's been different for me this time. There's really not a lot of rules.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that. I want to see. So in Drop It, for those who don't know, we have there's 3 phases. Well, there's kind of 4 phases. The first 2 weeks is just like the get ready phase, and then you
Right.
go in or the get ready phase, I guess. And then there's phase one, and then you follow that for minimum of 4 weeks, and only if and when you plateau, you go on to the next phase, and then the same for phase three. So what phase are you in now?
I like to call it 1.5.
Okay.
And that is because I think I said to you a few weeks ago, I was struggling with letting go of nuts.
Yes.
And so coconut, no problem. Like that was easy. Okay, just skip this, right? But then to me, letting go of nuts was really hard.
Yeah.
So what I started to do, instead of just diving in, as I started to choose more recipes that just didn't include nuts
Mhm.
or things that had cashews, I'd do maybe half cashews and half hemp seeds or something like that.
Yeah.
And I would just make it manageable for myself because I know me, and if it doesn't taste good, I'm not eating it.
Fair enough. I mean, I am the same way. We should not be eating stuff that tastes bad. Why is that okay? It's not
Right.
okay.
Right. And for me also, I think a big piece of it too with this is that I was just giving myself grace.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just saying like this is okay. You're not going
Yeah.
to lose 100 pounds in a month. And it
Yes.
didn't take you a month to put on 100 pounds.
Mhm.
So it's, these little changes that are super sustainable for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said something important and you're like, one of the things that's different about this is there's not a lot of rules. Now, this is a plant powered approach. And so there's certain things that we avoid, right? But
Right.
within that, there's so much flexibility. And I think that that's a really key part of this. Like, okay, if you're trying to lose weight, these are the foods that like aren't going to help. But within that, like you can really make this your own. And
Yeah.
so I love that you've kind of figured out this in between that is work because it's clearly working for you.
Right.
You haven't like plateaued to the point where you're like, going into totally phase 2 yet. And
Mhm.
so the fact that there is that flexibility, is it for you like a mental thing that just makes it easier for you?
It is. The mental piece is huge for me. In the beginning, I always say I'm a very like avid meditation practitioner and breathwork practitioner. And my breathwork
Uh-huh.
teacher always says there's this voice in your head that's always trying to give you another job.
So
And
true.
I love that, right? Because it's like, and then I reminded myself when I started this program, I'm like, Lindsay, shut up. You already have a job. And, like, and I would find myself going to the pantry all the time. And I started counting how many times I was going in the pantry just looking for food. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
but you're not even hungry. You just ate a salad. You just drank water. Like, you're not hungry. And so it is very much a mind game because you
Mhm.
almost do things without awareness. You're just like going through the motions without sitting and actually like feeling what's really going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge thing. And that's something that we talk about a lot during our connection calls and even like the materials within the Drop It Hub.
Mhm.
I mean, feelings is a big, big, big freaking part of this because for a lot of us, it's like when those uncomfortable feelings come up, or even the feeling of boredom or the feeling of desire comes up, like we want to make it go away. We want to make sadness go away, or worry go away, or frustration, or boredom, or desire. And the quickest way to do that is to eat.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you nailed it. So much of us are just like kind of on autopilot. And I imagine that for you too, it's like, was that something that you were doing before this program? Just like, okay, eating and then going to see if there's more food, or just kind of automatically going to the pantry or to the fridge?
Absolutely, and then later criticizing myself for doing it, right? That
Mhm.
self-judgment piece was huge for me. Oh, like, "Oh, you're so fat," and like, "No wonder you're fat, you keep doing this." And then I was like, this is none of this is helpful.
Mhm.
And so I had to kind of ditch that voice in my head and find compassion for like that little kid that was in Weight Watchers in 5th and 6th grade and say like, "Okay, like now you can give her what she needs."
Yeah. Yeah, goosebumps. I mean, so much of our scars and our trauma and everything going into our experience when we are changing,
Mhm.
it's like we have this beautiful opportunity to give ourselves the stuff that we didn't get back then that nobody else can give us. And that is so empowering and such a beautiful thing to realize. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering what helped you realize that during this time? Because there are guidelines that you follow, there are videos, and there are, there's stuff about sitting with your emotions and all of this, but like what do you think it was for you? And maybe it was the guidelines, maybe it wasn't. But
Mhm.
like are you just in a time in your life where you're open to receiving that, or was it something particular that kind of struck you? Like what made you kind of have that awareness?
Well, there's a few things. So I think the guidelines super helpful because it gave me like a concept and like a concrete kind of plan to follow,
Yeah.
which was big. The other thing is that I'm actually a psychotherapist by trade. And so I've done a lot of my own inner child work, especially over the past couple of years.
Mhm.
And then when this program came into play, like I started getting to this point where I'm like, I'm getting older. There's this mindset shift where I was like, if I like fall down outside, somebody's got to like get me up. And I
Mhm.
was like, I want to be able to move my body.
Yeah.
My parents live in Florida and they've been there for years. And I watch my mom walks 5 miles a day. She's in her 70s. My dad bikes 20, 30 miles a day. And I'm like, I want to be like that when I'm old.
Yes.
And so that was a big shift for me is that I want to
Mm.
feel good. I want to walk up and down stairs to go do home visits I work in New York City and I do these home visits and some of these families live in a 5-story walk up. I don't want to pause at every flight.
Right.
So it was
Right.
a combination of the guidelines, but also like my own actual felt sense of like what is happening in my body. I don't like the way it feels.
Yeah. And that's huge because that's far beyond like a number that you say on the scale, right?
Yeah.
And so, seeing a lower number on the scale will contribute to you feeling better for sure. But when there is motivation that goes beyond just, well, because I want to weigh X amount, that's when you really look at things differently and you're going to have that drive when it does get tough. Because so tell me about it. Have you found any of the guidelines or like the batch cooking or making sure, because we need to cook if we're going to eat
Yeah.
healthy, so have any of the guidelines felt really hard and like something that you had to like kind of struggle through a little bit? Or tell me your experience with that.
Yeah. So I love a curry. Getting rid of coconut milk was a huge challenge for me because my husband and I would go, that was our lunch date every week, would be a curry, appetizers that were probably fried tofu or spring rolls, and then like 2 martinis. This is
Mhm.
a lunch date. And, I didn't go and say like, oh, I can't go out anymore.
Yeah.
I just went and I thought like, okay, I don't need to eat a curry today. I
Mhm.
can make these changes so that I'm still enjoying my life, but in a way that like I'm still eating out. It still tastes really good. And so that's one big thing I've done. I don't eat anything fried anymore. Like the fried food is gone from my diet, probably forever.
Mhm.
I ask for steamed. I ask them to eliminate the oil, increase the veggies. And nobody's said no. I'm a meal planner through Clean Food Dirty Girl, like
Yeah.
through and through. I would
Yeah.
say probably about 90% of the meals that we eat in my house are Clean Food Dirty Girl meals.
Mhm.
And I actually never even knew there was a recipe portal until maybe about a year ago.
No.
I knew you from the
'Cause
blog. And
interesting.
for years and years, my favorite meal was the sweet potato stuffed with the creamed spinach.
Oh, so good.
My
So good.
favorite meal ever. And I thought like this is so delicious. Like I'm making this every week. And then one day I was on Facebook and into my feed popped up like a suggestion for this group. And when I went in the group, people are talking about this recipe portal. And I'm like, what is this? I must join. So I went in and, this is like what my whole family eats now, right? Nobody is looking for anything else.
Mm.
My daughter will eat whatever I make. She loves the cheesy sauces. So I'm like filling my fridge every week with whole healthy foods. I'm only snacking on the fruits and veggies, which I never did before.
Mhm.
And my whole family is benefiting from this.
Wow. That's awesome. And what an example you're setting for your kid and your family, really,
Yeah.
your kids and family. So I saw a post from you in the Drop It Facebook group, and you said losing weight is so delicious. Like when you're doing it this way, it's so delicious to lose weight because you get to eat. I mean, it's all about eating, and it's all about eating really damn good food because, like we said, if it doesn't taste good, who wants to
Oh,
eat
yeah.
that?
I'm not eating it. I
Yeah.
don't do it. And last week we had like badass loaded fries for dinner. I'm like,
Yeah.
who eats that and loses weight? Me. Right. But it was so delicious. And my daughter actually came home from school and was so upset because my husband ate the leftovers for lunch. And she's like, but I was going to have it.
That's like such a beautiful problem to have. It's like,
Right.
what mom doesn't want that problem? Yeah, and what a difference from the whole from dieting and what you were used to for so many years to think, oh, I get to eat food and not be hungry and not feel deprived and feel really satisfied, feel even more satisfied with this healthy food because of how nutrient dense and how fiber filled it is, and you get to lose weight. I mean, was there like a time where that shift was like foreign to you, or that concept was such a foreign thing that you just, yeah, and how did you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I felt like I was missing out on things.
Okay.
And that I felt like in order to lose weight, I had to restrict myself so much.
Right.
But I really learned that I didn't. And so until I learned that, I think that's when the weight was going up and down. I had no energy. I was sleeping. I was drinking a ton because I was stressed all the time. And I think I even posted in the group early on, like I come home on a Friday and I would start like having wine at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm
Mhm.
like, by 9, I could have had 2 bottles with my husband.
Mhm.
Right. And so just all these shifts and like starting to see the success, but also to feel better. And the biggest shift is that I noticed when you eat whole plants, you don't start craving things anymore. Like the cravings pretty much stopped for me. It's amazing. Like I feel so good. My energy level is through the roof. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I walk my dogs at 6 o'clock. Like every day. I'm like walking. The sun is rising. I'm always posting beautiful pictures
Yes.
of myself walking with the dogs. And I'm like, it's so funny because I'm like, wait a minute, like 6 months ago, I hated exercising.
Oh,
I
interesting.
hated it. Like I didn't even want to walk around the block,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
And
a
now,
change. So many changes.
yeah, huge changes. But the thing is that they don't feel wrong. They feel so
Mhm.
good.
Mm,
And so it's like, it's this whole, like when people say your whole lifestyle changes, it's so true.
yeah. And it doesn't even what's funny is that it sneaks up on you, I think. And I don't know
Oh,
if that's been
totally.
your
Yeah,
experience, but it's like
totally.
because we don't go into this with the intention of like, well, I'm gonna change my lifestyle. I mean, I think that happens as a result of just these choices that we make every day. And those choices get a lot easier the more you make them. And I think even, you hit on something. You're like, when you're eating whole plant foods, the cravings for other things go away because you're not eating those things. And so you don't have that dopamine hit in your brain, and your brain is looking for more of that. But even like I went out for lunch with a friend recently to a Thai restaurant. And there's this particular restaurant, their pad Thai is really good. And I know it's because it's loaded with sugar and oil.
Mhm.
And I ate that pad Thai, and the rest of the day I wanted salty, I wanted sweet, I wanted fatty foods, and it was just one meal.
Right.
And I never feel that way when I eat plants. It's like just now for lunch, I had a big salad, a big side of quinoa, some delicious soy curls, and like this bean veggie mix on top. And it's like,
Mhm.
I'm going to be good to dinner. I'm not going to be thinking about food anymore because I'm so satisfied and it feels so
Yeah,
good.
and that's the other thing. I've realized that I've not overeaten since I started this.
Ah,
And that
interesting.
used to be this thing, right? Where it's like we'd order pizza and I'd be like shoving it in my face, like I couldn't get enough. And even with the alcohol, it was just like constantly like filling some need in me that I wasn't meeting elsewhere. And I don't overeat. Like I've not felt full or like stuffed after a meal.
Yeah.
I feel so good that I just want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to like leave the group until like I've met my goal weight.
Yeah. Yeah, and you will. I mean, and this is something for all of the reasons we just talked about. This is why it's such a sustainable thing because it's
Right.
not a diet. And there's some people who are like, well, how can you say that? Because you're avoiding certain things. And it's like, yeah, we're avoiding certain things, but you can have those things, right? You can.
Right.
But if you want to lose weight in a really healthy way that doesn't feel um like a shit show, these are the things that we choose to avoid. And so much of it is about how we approach it. And the other thing is, okay, so we're not eating X, Y, and Z, or we're choosing to avoid X, Y, and Z, but that means like there's so many other options. And I think that's really key for people to understand because, okay, if you take out meat and dairy and processed foods and oils, like what are you left with? The whole plant foods. Do you know how many varieties of beans are out there? Do you know how many varieties of greens and lettuces and different types of tofus and the amount of sauces you can make with these ingredients? It's like
Right.
it's such an abundant way to
It
eat.
it totally is. And it's like I mean, like I said, 90% of my meals probably come from the portal.
Yeah.
And I tried the recipe plan. I tried to be cheap for a month. And I like 2 weeks in, I was like, yeah, no, I need the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I do like to batch. And
Yeah.
I like to have the food there. I like to know that on Monday when I wake up, there's something to grab and go. And I know that if I come home 6 hours later, there's something to heat up in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and most of the food doesn't even last the week because, like I said, my daughter yesterday, she took barbecue tofu, Brussels sprouts, and broccoli and mashed potatoes to school for
Love
lunch.
it. Love it.
Right. And she's thriving. I mean, she's been a vegetarian since birth.
Mhm.
So this has just kind of taken her to the next level. And everybody who comes over knows that that's what they're eating. When we have like open door dinner policy on Sundays, like I'll make a taco bar and there's cheesy sauce, maybe some vegan cheese shreds for the people who don't want to be as adventurous, but it's
Yeah.
tofu taco crumbles. Like there's not beef in the house
Yeah.
and there's black beans and none of the kids have complained. None of them.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing with the right recipes and just the commitment and dedication to providing that stuff, what can happen. And also just not making it a big deal, right? Like this is food, we're eating it. This is what's happening. Um, I I like that Sunday taco bar idea. I also love a baked potato bar. I've done that before. That's really fun. Like there's so many fun things you can do with food.
There
I love
are.
it.
And I mean, it's just and it's a well-stocked kitchen.
Yeah.
And like I invest in my self-care, right? My husband, I joke, he loves clothes. I love meditation and breath work and eating healthy. And so that's where
Yeah.
I spend my money, is to
Yeah.
take care of me.
Yeah. And really, like, what a gift, because that investment that you make, that's going to benefit you for the rest of your life and
Yeah.
give you quality of life, not just years on your life, but real quality of life.
Right. And the funniest thing too is, like I said to my husband, I had to stop. Sometimes I have to go out on the road for work. It's like
Hmm.
a last minute. I don't have time. And so it's like, I'll go to a bagel shop. And I used to feel like, oh, I can't do it. But it's interesting too, because like now that I've gotten out of my head, the guilt piece is gone. So I'll go and I'll be like, can you scoop the bagel out? And they'll scoop the inside out. And then I'll be like, can you just fill it with avocados, tomato, and lettuce? Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, so like, sure, I ate some white flour, but I ate probably half the bagel because they scooped all the breading out.
Yeah.
And then I added my veggies to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's
Awesome.
just, I find solutions wherever I go.
Yes. And that's really what it's all about, is doing the best you can with your circumstances and making it work, and making it work imperfectly. Okay, yeah, so you could have had, a steamed broccoli for, you couldn't have even, because you were like on the road. But like, you just do the best that you can, because it's not realistic to follow the guidelines 100% of the time, because we have life.
Right. Yeah.
Life comes up, and that's just how and you can still reach your goal weight by making those adjustments when needed.
Yeah. And I think the hardest thing when you follow this kind of lifestyle and you live by these principles is watching the junk that other people eat. That's a struggle for me. Like when I see people posting things about all this bacon and eggs and things, and then like a week later, they've like had a heart attack. And then a month later, they're out of like cardiac rehab and they're like back eating this stuff again.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I sit there and I'm like, this is so interesting
Yeah.
because, people don't have the knowledge.
Yeah. They don't know. It's so true. And I think that a lot of people think that this is really, really hard. They have this idea that it's hard, that they don't want to give up their precious XYZ, bacon,
Right.
cheese, whatever. And I think that for a lot of people, that transition can be challenging, but I promise you that challenge doesn't last long.
No.
Especially when you start feeling better and you see the weight coming off and you're like able to like better enjoy your life.
Yeah, it does. It feels effortless to me now. Like
Yeah,
my
so
energy is
cool.
through the roof. I was always a 9 to 5 sleeper and I get like annoyed when I'm not tired at night, but I'm like, but I ate so healthy. Like I feel good. I'm like walking, and the 10-minute walk turns to 45 minutes most mornings now.
Yes.
Like, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait. And the dogs look forward to it every morning. They know we're going. So they're like running circles around me at 6 o'clock. And I'm like, this is great. I just put my sneakers on and I'm like, off I go.
Yeah, you're in that flow. You found that flow big time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Oh,
love it. Love it so much. I'm so grateful for you for doing this. And it came right at the right time.
well, I'm so happy that we did this. Like it is just such a thing of joy to witness you and all of the rest of the droplets really having this experience that is truly really life changing. And what's so interesting is that what maybe started out as like a weight goal, and I know for you it was like much more, okay, I really want to feel good,
Right.
and I have a weight goal, right? And
Mhm.
for some people it started out just purely as weight, and they're like, yeah, the weight, like I'm down 20 pounds, 18 pounds, 25 pounds, but like that's not even the thing anymore, right?
Mhm.
It's morphed into something like way more than that. And I think that really tells me, okay, this is it. That weight that has gone is not never going to come back.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because there are a couple of guidelines that I follow. Like I'm never going to eat anything fried again.
Right.
I'm just not going to do it. And
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to speak up when we go, if like friends go out, went for a friend's birthday last week and she like showed me a place and I said, listen, like I just need to eat more than a side salad for dinner.
Mhm.
I said, so like if we can choose Asian, I know I can eat sushi rolls with avocados and cucumbers in them. And then you can have whatever you want. And, nobody's going to say no to that.
Yeah.
Nobody's going
Yeah.
to, "No, we can't go there. You need to eat lettuce on a plate." Like,
Yes, and if your friend says no, that's not a very good friend. But I think
Right.
it's true, right? It's like, I don't know. Have you felt like you've gotten more confident to speak up about what you need food-wise throughout this process?
Definitely, for
Yeah.
sure. And it's interesting because I've seen it flow in other ways as well. Like I am not afraid to speak up, like in my family. when
Mm.
people have comments to make, right? Like I can just shut it down really quickly now. And, so it's just I have these boundaries everywhere. But I just ask for it in a restaurant. And if they can't do it, then I just say, okay, well, then I'll have this instead. But
Yeah.
it's like I said to my husband, I'm making it less about what I eat and more about the experience.
Yes. Yes, that's huge. That's huge because when you come at it from that angle, it allows you to take in the full experience. And really, it's like, okay, so if I go to a restaurant and I'm meeting a friend, that connection is really about the conversation and the connection with that friend. And so, if the food isn't all that good because I'm ordering something vegan or as healthy as I can, it's going to be okay because I'm not there to eat. It's like what I say is like, I don't go to restaurants because I'm hungry ever.
Right.
I go to restaurants because I'm meeting someone or it's an occasion. It's like if I'm hungry, like it's going to be clean food, dirty girl food because that's all I eat.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because I'm like looking at people posting things and I look at your breakfast porridge and I'm like, I used to be this person that was like, ugh, oatmeal, ugh. Right. And now I'm like, oh my God, that looks so good to me now with the buckwheat on top. And my husband's like, what are you making? I'm like, that's a millet porridge. And he's like, oh, okay. But then he eats it too. And he's like, this is so good. He's like, wow, this is great. And, and he's actually, as a result, so he's had some health issues with cholesterol and blood pressure, and he was always so resistant to go vegan, always. And so last year I got him to agree to go for 30 days when I was like doing the recipes and the batching. And so he agreed to do 30 days. Do you know that man has never gone back? He has lost 60 pounds eating clean food, dirty girl recipes. And he has never gone back. I said to him, like, oh, go to this bagel shop. I said, they scooped out for me, but they have all these great vegan sandwiches. So he went to church with his friend, came home, and I was like, well, what'd you have? He's like, avocado toast. I was like, what? You love a sandwich. He's like, I just couldn't do it after all the things you've been feeding me. Right. So it's like, as a result, he's just like not even choosing the processed stuff anymore.
That's amazing. I want to talk to your husband too. That would be a good podcast. I mean, really 60 pounds down and just like, okay, never going back. It really shows you that the power of good recipes, actually. And I'm going to toot our own horn for a second and say that we have the best whole food plant-based recipes out there.
Hands down. They are the best recipes ever.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's 50 varieties of cheesy sauces. Like you want
crazy
provolone, you want mozzarella, you want cheddar, right? I mean, a broccoli Alfredo flatbread pizza. What?
I know.
It is so good.
I know. And I love that you love buckwheat and millet in your like morning porridge now, because it's like this kind of stuff I always like. I mean, I've when I was little, my favorite food was millet because my mom was a big hippie. And so she would give me like this millet porridge. And so I grew up with that. I didn't know that that was weird. Right. And so I love now that I'm introducing this stuff to other people and they're like, I'm like, oh, it looks like my breakfast. And like, it's no longer weird to them anymore. Right. Because for me, it's never been strange. It's like, yeah, I eat millet for breakfast, so, with some raisins and some cinnamon and some soy milk. That's a normal breakfast, right?
Right. And I have a fantastic nut milk maker. My husband, it's so funny, for Christmas he buys me gifts now, like a nut milk maker, a tofu press, right? And so I now experiment with things. I actually posted today that like once in a while I feel like I want something sweet. And so I make a hemp latte with like raw cacao powder and dates in it. And it's so satisfying to me that I'm like, it feels like the most indulgent thing, but it's so healthy and it's so good. And it's like, if you asked me in December, like what, if I would be doing this right now, I don't think I would have said yes. I think I would have been like doubting myself. I would have been like, I lost some weight and then I just gained it back. It's like everything else.
Interesting. Yeah. So this has been a kind of a surprise for you then.
Yeah, it really has, because I've tried so many things.
Yeah.
And so I just thought like, this is never going to work. And right before I found this program and right before I got the email, I had actually talked to a whole food plant-based nutritionist, and she wanted like $12,000 for 12 months. And she wanted me to send her a picture of every meal before I ate it so she could tweak it. And I was like, who has time for that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's in that same line of like, are you feeling, what was it, satisfied on a level from 1 to 10? Or like,
Right,
what
yeah,
is
she's like,
it?
"Well, just eat until it's a 7 out of 10." I'm like, "I don't even know what that is."
Right. Like this can't be hard. Like
Right.
this shouldn't be hard. And I don't think it's very sustainable if it is hard. And that's why it's such a fantastic thing for people who are used to counting calories and counting macros and trying to figure out the portions and the ratios, to know that like you don't have to do any of that. Like
No,
you
and
just
it's
have to eat
right,
until you're
and
satisfied. That's it.
exactly, and I think I said this week too, the work has been very busy for me, so I
Yeah.
haven't been able to get alive on the connection calls, and
Yeah.
so I'm always watching the replays, but on the weeks that it's really busy, I just do what I call the component cooking, where
Yeah.
it's like the rice goes in the rice cooker, a bunch of potatoes are in the oven, and there's cheesy sauce, and there's hummus, and there's chopped up veggies ready to go, and it's like, if I come home, microwave. 2 minutes and I
Boom.
have lunch, and it's not like picking at a granola bar or chips and, drinking something like sweet. It's immediately like there is something here for me.
Yes, yes. I do that component cooking as well. If like the weeks that I don't do a full meal plan,
Mhm.
because I'm always going to batch no matter what.
Right.
Sometimes I follow the meal plan, sometimes I don't. But doing those components, like it's really, I got home. I posted this today in the group. I got home last night from a workout and it was kind of late, and I was like so hungry. I put a bunch of stuff on a plate, some pinto beans and some tofu scramble and some potatoes and a little bit of quinoa. Put that in the microwave for like 2 minutes. Added a bunch of greens on top, drizzled some Dijon dressing. And it was
Mhm.
like dinner under 5 minutes, and so satisfying, so delicious. It's like, it's crazy. I've been doing this for so long and I still get so excited even just talking about it because it's so good and so easy. And so it
Right.
makes me so happy that you have been able to benefit from this and really see so many different results as a result of
Yeah.
it.
Right. And I mean, I do the same thing. This morning I had a really early meeting, 5 a.m. Eastern. And
Mhm.
so I woke up at 4:30. I did the meeting, and at 5:50, I like made a baked tofu eggy dish. I made the sunny side up sauce.
Oh, so
I
good.
made the tempeh bacon, and I loaded up the casserole with like peppers, onions, spinach, mushrooms. And when I took some on the go, and then when I got home, the whole tray was gone. I was like, but it's like you want to be annoyed with the family for eating it, but at the same time, you're like, but this is so good for
Yes.
them. So, it's easy to throw together too. It's like to throw that in the oven, like a chickpea tofu frittata thing. It's
Yeah.
like you put it in, and then you go take a shower, and you come out and it's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with the right tools, it's easy.
Hmm. And Lindsay, here's the other thing is like, we have to eat anyways. That's like what
Right.
always gets me is like, okay, but you have to eat anyways. So if you can just like shift things a little bit, then like this is so doable, because it's not like we can choose whether or not we want to eat. It's like,
Right.
we got to do it. I love your drink that you make and the hemp cacao drink. And I think it brings up a really good point in that no matter what, because there's certain things for everybody that provides like this comfort, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's like, I don't know, a Starbucks drink or cake or cookies or, some cheesy potatoy thing. But really, with this way of eating, I find that there's always something that's similar enough to get that comfort from, that's a much
Right.
healthier option than like I guess what I'm trying to say is we're not just eating sautéed broccoli and water and lettuce all day.
Right. Well, and that's what people think it is.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the problem when, there's this stigma against eating plants and only eating plants. And I mean, the biggest one is like, well, where do you get your protein? And I'm like, there's so much protein in what I'm eating.
Yeah.
I'm a Rancho Gordo Bean Club member. So like on any given day, I've probably got 10 bags of beans here. And and so I never ever feel deprived. And hello, like caramel cheesecake from the portal, like
Why not? Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I haven't had that since I've started, but when the kids come over or there's a holiday, I don't ever feel like I have to go in the other direction. I
Right.
have to eat ice cream or I have to take a night off. It's like
Yeah.
I just make something that's healthier
Mhm.
version of what I used to eat. And, I have been dairy free and meat free for 15 years. So,
Right.
but I was subsisting probably most of the time on vegan junk food, the
Mhm.
processed, vegan nuggets and meatballs and things like that. And when I started this, that was a big shift for me. There definitely were huge cravings in the beginning of like, wanting to open up the freezer and just throw them in really quick and air fry them, or just have 4 Girl Scout cookies because that's a serving. And then, or the granola bar while I'm cooking. But I had to
Mm.
like really ride out those cravings in the beginning. And I used my craving jar
Yes.
and it still sits on my table, but I haven't used it in a long time. But,
Mhm.
the key is there are so many options.
Yeah. Yeah. So many options. So the craving jar is awesome. So this is for people listening who don't know, and if you're not in drop it, you wouldn't know, but we have a tool and it's basically a cravings jar. So when you have a craving for something that gets really intense, you want to allow the craving to be there and really feel the feelings without acting on it. And so it's a way to get in touch with your emotions, and it's a way to break the habit of eating when you're stressed, eating when you're angry, eating when you're bored, eating, and then when you're done with that, you put a dollar bill or a $5 bill or whatever in a jar, and you write a little like ticket that we give you, you print out to tell us a little bit about the craving, and then you collect those. And one thing I say is like you might use this jar a lot in the beginning, but the more you use it, the less you're going to need it eventually.
Yeah. I wasn't going to use it initially.
You weren't. You were
I
like,
wa
no, no.
I was like, "I'm not doing that, no." And then I was like, "No." And then I was like, "You know what? Okay, that is a job that I do need to do." And so I printed the sheet out and I cut up the little squares
Mhm.
and I did, and I found it really helpful. And now it's funny because I haven't used it, but I also haven't emptied it. And it's sitting right where I work most of the time,
Yeah.
which is at like a little table in our breakfast nook in the kitchen, right near the pantry. And it's funny, I don't go to the pantry anymore.
Right. What did it's like a it's such a habit, isn't it? It was such a habit. Yeah.
Looking at it, right? I'm like, I see my success. Like, oh, you know what? Like I was hungry and I didn't eat it. I
Yeah.
wanted it and I didn't have it. And it's interesting because I've always been huge on the alcohol, which I think we've
Mhm.
talked about a lot in the group. And
Yeah.
I don't even want that anymore. But I think it's like I realized it wasn't that what I needed. It was that rush of things. And now I'm just getting that fulfillment from healthy foods and from my walking. I used to want to park right outside a building for work. Now I'm like, oh, there's a spot 2 blocks away. All right. And I just like, oh, I'll just get 10 more minutes of walking in. Right. Whereas before I
Such a
dreaded it.
change. Yeah. That's such a good point too, because so often it's like we are doing that stuff to feel something or to get something from it. And when you can get that satisfaction from really healthy living, like that doesn't suck. There's nothing about that that sucks.
Right. There's not. And I think a big part of it is control, right? Like I
Mm.
just like stopped trying to control things. I'm trying not to get like activated by things that are, that I can't control, that are out of my control. And I remember my breathwork teacher said when all this political stuff started going down, like we can get sucked into this quagmire and all this programming that's coming in about everything in our lives. She's like, or we could just work on ourselves. And
Yeah.
I thought, like, yeah. And so now every day it's a non negotiable. I sit for meditation.
Mhm.
I just sit and I say, like, I'm like going home to visit myself.
Yeah.
I check in, I process things, I don't react emotionally. And so it's like I've seen this kind of whole person evolve.
Mhm. That's so cool. That's such a cool thing. Yeah, and we talk about this in the connection calls a lot. Like, there's so much that we can't control, and there's so much that we don't have any kind of control over, but we do have control over the choices that we make.
Right.
And when we start focusing on that, all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a lot I can do actually. And there's a lot I don't have to do actually.
Mhm.
But understanding that we do have that choice, it's so empowering. And also that'll help in like every area of life, not just with the food and the weight and the eating, but like your relationships and just how you generally show up in the world.
Right. Yeah.
So,
And I think,
yeah.
and the feedback that I've gotten is that people feel like I'm more present with them.
Mhm.
Right? Like people are like, I'm enjoying my time with people. And it's like my head isn't always somewhere else. Like I used to have this thing of like, oh, well, you know what? I could just eat all the pizza today and start tomorrow. Right. Or I could do this. And now I remind myself, this is a big shift I've had is I'm like, well, this isn't the last time you're going to eat this. And so like, you don't really need to eat it all right now.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
That's a huge shift too. Yeah. And the presence, like the patience and the presence, it's so amazing. Like, and this is what I tell people. It's like, I'm always so excited for them to start this journey because you never know what you're going to find out about yourself. Like,
right. Oh, it's been huge for me. Huge.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you could go back to Lindsay in Weight Watchers when you were little and you, Lindsay, today could go there, what would you tell that little girl?
I would tell her that she was good enough the way she was. Because I think that's the message I got out of that I wasn't enough for people, right? Like if my mom is taking me here, surely there's something wrong with me, right? And so I try to operate now from this place of like, but what if nothing is wrong? And like, what if this is just the way it's supposed to be? And I stop wanting to be thinner and stop not wanting to struggle with things. And I'm just very in the moment. And I'm like, okay, even when I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's just having grace and giving that little version of me like love and nurturing and support and being like, you know what, you're fine. You're okay.
Yeah. And like you can be okay and accept and love yourself. And you can also have a goal to lose X amount of weight. And I think that's so important because a lot of people who I've talked to, it's like, well, if I love and accept myself, then that means I am not going to be able to work on my goals because that means if I'm fine now, then why would I change? And I think that has been a big, like that you can love and accept yourself and you can work on yourself. And so can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was actually, it reminded me of something I had listened to was that, yes, because I do see a lot of people who are very happy and they're okay in their larger bodies. And the thing is, I do love myself very much. And I have no problem setting boundaries and creating a safe space for myself. But I just don't feel physically good in this body. And I had learned recently that a lot of weight issues come from childhood. And I'm not going to go into my upbringing and the traumas I experienced, but when parents can't nurture you in the way that you need to be nurtured, right? Often like they pop a bottle in your mouth or they constantly like give you something to pacify you. And so I think that's something that connection for me now with this program is like, you know what? Like, yeah, okay. Like I didn't get those things. I'm happy. I have a very happy marriage. My husband is not, there's never been a concern with him about my weight, right? He accepts me the way that I am. My children accept me the way that I am. And I am a very successful person, but I just want to be even more successful. And I want to feel even better than I feel. And I want to love myself more, right? Yeah. And I don't want to be stuck in this status quo of, yeah, you're okay now, but like, why not be better? Shouldn't we all always want to evolve into something better?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and for so many different reasons. And part of that is just for the experience of it, for the experience of expanding, right? And for the experience of being this person who, wow, you really love millet in your breakfast. That's cool.
Right.
Why not?
Right. It's so true.
Yeah. And being someone who's looking forward to walking the dogs and parking 2 blocks away because why not? 10 extra minutes of walking, you know, isn't a bad thing. I think so much of it is just about the experience of it all, you know?
Yeah. And I do think it is that presence and just loving yourself. And like I said earlier, is just having grace, like giving yourself grace. Mm-hmm. Right? Is like nobody is perfect. And there's always an opportunity to start over in the very next minute. There's nobody that's not going to make mistakes. Yeah. And there's nobody that's not right. I'm not going to say that I'm never going to eat a chip again in my life.
Right.
Right. I'm just not going to do it right now. Yeah. And, you know, maybe I won't, but I'm not giving myself this set of rules. Right. And so I'm just giving myself more love than I've given myself before. Like I'm really taking care of me. And as a result, I'm better for all the people around me.
So powerful. So powerful. Yeah. I mean, and you really, yeah, you embody everything that this program is about and everything I had hoped for it. Because
Mhm.
everything that you've been talking about me with this over this conversation is like, this is what I wanted people to get from it. I wanted
Yeah,
people to get compassion and love, and doing this in a way that's uplifting and empowering and sustainable, and not like, shaming yourself into being skinny, right? Because that's not what this is about at all.
right.
So
And I've never been skinny. That's
right,
never been my frame. That's never
right.
been who I was. But I can be healthy, and I can be
Mhm.
healthy in the body that I decide I wanna have.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. I think that's such a powerful thing. I mean, yeah, I just love talking to you because really, I mean, this is exactly what I had hoped for it. And it came along at the right time. You were able to be like, okay, I'm going to trust the process, put it to work, and then boom, off to the races. I mean, you've really just done a fantastic job with it. And I'm so happy for you. And I'm so
Oh,
happy for your family as well.
thank you. Yeah, and I think it's also stopping along the way to recognize the wins is really important, because I think
Mhm.
that's another thing I struggled with in the past, was never seeing myself in the new body and with the new mindset. And so I I think I would always kind of just go back because
Yeah.
nothing stuck. And
Mhm.
now I think I said, I'm pulling like my jeans on and off without unbuttoning them. I went down a size. We went out last weekend and I just pulled them out reluctantly, but I like pulled them on and I was like, oh my God, what? Right. And so it's just, I can notice it. Right. And so even though,
Yeah.
yes, I still have lots of weight to lose, when I look at my stomach, when I look at my face, I can see these things. And so every day I just look at them.
Yes. Yes. You've also had a moment with the towel.
Oh, I mean, the towel, I haven't closed a towel around myself in years. And I didn't even think anything of it. I just got out of the shower the other night, wrapped the towel around, and I was like, my husband's like, what is wrong with you? Because every time I'm like, this is amazing. And he's like, what? I'm like, I closed the towel. I closed it. And there's like no gap. You can't see like half my leg. It's closed. Right. So it's just amazing. It's recognizing those things. And I think that's what I've never recognized before.
Ah, yes. Yes. You're able to be present with those
Yeah.
and enjoy that for a moment without like rushing past, because it's probably going to be fleeting anyways.
Yeah.
Right. So we have in Drop It a lot of like, we encourage people like, tell us your scale wins and also tell us your non-scale wins, because
Right.
there's so many of those. And I love it. Those little things like, oh my gosh, the pants are going up, or the towel, these little
Mm,
things that create, more confidence and just create that emphasis of like, okay, I'm on the right track. Right. And
right.
I'm doing the thing and it feels good. And you don't have to go back. I think
Yeah,
it's
there's
just,
somebody in the group that's walking to work every day now. I'm like, this is fabulous, right? Like, and all of us, I think, are in the same place of like the
Mhm.
struggles were there. And I think that's what was so helpful in the beginning, was that everybody was having, there was somebody that had posted something so funny that she was like, said, had to tell herself, shut up, you're not eating nothing tonight. Right. And I was like, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
to me, because it's like, that's what my head is doing. And I'm
Mhm.
sure everybody else in the group's head is doing the same thing. So it's this camaraderie of the group. It's all these non-scale victories, the scale victories,
Yeah.
the recipe suggestions, the pictures of the meals and the different things going on. And yeah, I mean, you've created like a program for the whole person.
Mm. Thank you for saying that. Thank
Yeah,
you. That
it's
just made
amazing.
my
I
heart
love
just
it.
so happy.
Yeah, I love it
No.
so much. I'm so grateful for you because, like I said, I was every week meeting with this woman and like dreading the meeting because I was like, I'm not losing any weight this week and I've got to tell her.
Right, right. Oh,
Right.
shit. Yeah. I've talked to a few people and they're like, I was working with a plant-based nutritionist or a regular nutritionist, and like, a few weeks in, like I fired him because this is working better than that ever did. And so I
Right.
think it's just it has a secret sauce to it. It definitely does. And I think too, you hit on something like everybody's going through something kind of similar who's in this community. And I see that. And I think that's why watching the replays of the connection calls are so good, because the people that I coach, they might have different circumstances or specifics,
Right.
right? But generally, it's the same stuff that comes
Right.
up for so many of us. So when you're hearing those replays, you're like, oh my gosh, I totally get it. And it's almost like I'm coaching you because you can kind of put yourself in their shoes. So I think having this group of such like-minded people who are used to these struggles, who know what what everybody else is going through. And that allows people to be so like supportive and lovely to one another as well.
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't even matter what they're going through, right?
Yeah.
That's what I always say is that we don't have to have the same traumas or experiences as someone
Mhm.
else. It doesn't mean that they're not relatable to us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you were um wanting to talk with me. And I think that, people need to hear this stuff. Right. It's like and even if they don't sign up for Drop It, if people can just know that it is possible, right? Like this, like
Right.
it's possible to lose weight in a way that is loving and compassionate, and it doesn't feel like you're deprived and you can eat and be thinner. Like there is a way, there is a path
Right.
for that.
Yeah. And invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, if it is the financial piece, it's like I can forgo one manicure and pedicure a month to pay for it.
Right.
Right. Like, I can do those things for myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's what's really important for me. So once I lose the 100 pounds, you're gonna have me back.
Yes, yes, that is a promise. When you lose 100 pounds, you're going to be back. We're going to do a follow-up episode. And I hope that you have a fantastic vacation with your
Thank you.
family. I hope you post some pictures in the group.
I sure will.
And just thank you for sharing yourself with us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Hey, this is Molly again. So, was that episode so inspiring? And that is just one story of many transformations that we've seen through Drop It. The feedback that we're getting is phenomenal. So, if you have some weight to lose and you want to do it in a way that's healthy and compassionate and not about deprivation and not about counting calories, in a way that's really loving and can be with you for the rest of your life, you've got to check out Drop It Club. You can go to dropitclub.com and you'll see all the information. And dun, da, 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 for our podcast listeners, if you use the coupon code podcast at checkout, you will get $100 off your first 3 months, which is a huge deal. So check that out. And if you have any questions at all, just email us support@cleanfooddirtygirl.com. I would love to be your coach and help you release weight for the last time in a way that is really healthy and in line with your life and your values and really being true to your body. Reach out, use the coupon code, check it out. Hope to see you soon.